This is when they get most harassed by the settlers and the soldiers. They get beaten by hands, sometimes they get shot.
People from around the world flock to Israel for its historical and religious significance, but relatively few visit the area known as the West Bank on Israel's eastern border. The West Bank, inhabited in part by Palestinians ejected from Israel in 1948, has been occupied by the Israeli army since 1967. The stresses of military occupation and a failing economy threaten the health of its residents. A unique United States organization, Healing Across the Divides, is working to measurably improve the well-being of marginalized populations in the West Bank and Israel and fostering communication across the divides. Although many had hopes that the Oslo Accords in the 1990s would lay the groundwork for a future Palestinian state, over 500,000 Israelis now live in the West Bank. These people, called settlers, live in modern and often upscale communities. Their presence is not only an obstacle to Palestinian statehood, but also some settlers have violently harassed the Palestinians living in nearby villages. One of these villages is Susiya, a Bedouin village in the South Hebron Hills. Susiya is under an ongoing demolition order from the Israeli government and is under constant harassment from the nearby settlement.
Their kids, when they are with the sheep and they are out to feed the sheep, they get beaten or verbally assaulted by the settlers. Even school children, they are also harassed by the settlers. There is a military camp nearby where also they are afraid to cross that area or be around that area. They also urinate in bed or wet their bed at night. They are always anxious and they feel that they might be attacked at any time.
The residents of Susiya have been under pressure to leave since the 1980s. Their village has been demolished 10 times already by the Israeli army. A number of residents have been killed, but determined to hold on to their claim to the land, they have remained. Susiya's residents live in temporary structures because the Israeli authority will not give them permission to build. And if they build without permits, the Israeli army quickly demolishes the structure. With the lack of water, electricity, buildings, and streets, Susiya has attracted international attention as a symbol of the cruelty of the Israeli occupation. To reduce PTSD in Susiya and similar communities, Healing Across the Divides made a 4-year grant to the Palestinian Working Women's Society for Development, PWWSD, a nonprofit organization in the West Bank, to provide women and teens psychosocial support and counseling services.
And what does this project do?
So they are living in constant fear, and we are helping them to overcome that fear and how to be resilient and how to be able to face all that.
By providing counseling sessions?
They provide counseling sessions. They sit in support groups together, the villages, the women and their children. They also give individual counseling to those women who need support from trauma or from the fear on their children or the fear of settlers. These support groups also help them see that they are or that they are living the same situation and that they can face it together.
HATD arranged training for the PWWSD counselors from Dr. Elizabeth Hembry from the Center of Treatment and Study of Anxiety at the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Hembry visited Ramallah and conducted a week-long training on how to treat PTSD. Dr. Hembry conducts monthly Skype sessions with the counselors, during which they learn techniques to treat PTSD, as well as discuss cases and develop treatment plans.
The supervision sessions were very important to the Professor Hembry. During these sessions, we discussed very difficult situations and cases that we had here in the locations where we work. We did not know how to deal with them, or they were very complicated. So we consulted Professor Hembry. We sought treatment for these cases, and we mainly focused on PTSD and how to treat people who are under stress and under anxiety.
What impact has the project had on her life?
Before having these workshops, we've been living in a lot of stress, and after having all these sessions of having an outlet and all these activities, it's been a lot better for us. We know how to cope with this situation, and we feel safer since we know that there are people who are standing by us and standing for us and for our cause. And even though we're facing all these circumstances, we are still standing tall.
HATD is now celebrating its 15th year of bringing evidence-based health improvement initiatives to marginalized communities in Israel and the West Bank. Thus far, they have impacted over 100,000 people. With your support, HATD will expand its reach.
As they heal across the divide, to the humble one, to the ones undone, to the ones across the divide.